Look, there's no way that you're going to be able to validate what's real or what's not. There's just no way. And so what it's going to end up coming down to is like whatever you think is real is going to be real. Whatever you don't think is real will be real. I'll give you another example. This just happened a few days ago. Israel and Palestine.
I was going to say, isn't that already the way it is? Like people put stuff out there, and if you say it long enough and loud enough, then people will think that that's the truth.
Sure.
You know?
But at least you can say, well, here's the video.
Right.
Here's the photo.
Well, now they can say, and here's the video, and here's the audio. And it's all fake. But if you put it out there long enough, there's so many things that are like that. You know, it's like the history is written by the victors, you know, like,
right.
You know, what really happened and what the history books happen and what goes down, you know, in history doesn't necessarily mean that's what happened.
But I hate...
You were saying the Palestine thing.
Well, yeah, because gaslighting is at an all-time high.
Yeah.
You know, say, don't believe your lying eyes because, you know, but I can see the video. I know that didn't happen. That did happen.
Right.
But now I can't believe my lying eyes, so to speak, you know? Like, so in Israel and Palestine, Ben Shapiro released this photo of a horrible photo of this burnt child, right? Burnt child. It was released by the Israeli government. He posted it. It's gotten hundreds of thousands, if not millions of views.
Right.
And then this other journalist, I want to say Michael Jackson, but I know it's not Michael Jackson. Anyway, this other journalist comes out and says, holy crap.
Took that photo 40 years ago.
Well, he says this is AI generated. He used this program called AIorNot.com, which essentially what you do is you upload photos and it tells you whether it's AI generated or not.
Okay.
And he says, holy crap, I uploaded it and it's not real. Well, it turns out that AIorNot.com is not 100% accurate.
Yeah.
So it still leads to the question of, so you've got half of the population saying it is real. It actually happened. This is a real photo. And then half the population is saying it's not.
Right.
How is there any way to know? There's any way to know. And you might say, oh, well, they'll figure it out. But we've got, you know, how long is that going to take?
Well, you figure out by finding out who actually took the photograph too. Like, who was the photographer? What was the source? Where did it come from? Was it just something that Ben Shapiro found online and, you know, screenshotted it and said, hey, this is what this is, or, you know, this is what the caption said, so I'm going with it because it was on Google, or did he actually get it from the photographer that was, you know, whatever, you know, in Israel and took the photograph?
Right.
So, you know, you have to figure out how to verify those things.
Well, and it's really hard too, because like one media outlet, I don't know, let's say the New York Times posts something and then 10 other news outlets run with that and then they post it and then 100 more.
That's true.
And the New York Times, maybe they make a redaction in a week. They say, yeah, you know what? Turns out that was AI generated. Are all of those hundreds, if not thousands of people that have news sites that have cited that going to go back and say, and redact?
They don't do that they don't do that when they've actually really majorly made a mistake. It'll be on page 5. It'll be a little tiny blurb. Oh, by the way, last month we said this and that wasn't true.
Right.
So if they don't want to do it when it's them specifically saying something that's incorrect, they're certainly not going to say it if they borrowed it or found it from another news organization. They're not going to take responsibility. Nobody wants to take responsibility anymore.
No, how much work does it take? I mean, quite frankly, a day later, it's old news. Nobody cares anymore because it's on to the next thing.
Well, I think by taking responsibility, you gain credibility. You know, by ignoring. You know, by saying things and then just ignoring it, you lose credibility by not saying, hey, I messed up. This was a mistake. This is what I did. That was wrong. Here's how it happened. You know, you could explain, here's how it happened. And when I was wrong by going to that source, I should have double checked it. I should have vetted it myself. I didn't. That was a mistake. Like, you gain credibility because then from now on, when you say something, people think, you know, either it's probably true, and if it's not true, they'll definitely tell me it's not true because they take pride in that. But now what they do is they just ignore it.
Yeah.
You say nothing. You just move forward with the news, and you think, well, they'll forget about it. And the problem is now you do forget about it. Within 2 weeks, like you said, nobody remembers.
Yeah. It's a real problem. But we're definitely running into this phase of humanity where, I mean, I think this has always been true that your credibility is important, but now I think more so than ever. Because there's going to be trusted news sources, there's going to be untrusted. Frankly, that's I think why podcasting and media has become so big, because nobody trusts big media anymore. It's like you continue to gaslight us. You release videos saying these are mostly peaceful protests with a giant fire raging in the background. It's like,
What have you seen? Have you seen that video where they've got all those news stations saying the exact same thing?
Right.
I mean, 30, 40, 50. It's like, so you're telling me that you're not getting your marching orders from somebody? Like, oh, no, we independently. No. You're getting, there are certain stories you get your marching orders on. And I know this because when I was locked up and I started doing research on cases, like let's say I was writing your story and you're a criminal, and I ordered a bunch, of course I ordered the Freedom of Information, everything else, but I would get the U.S. attorney would put out a press release. And then the following day, I would get a bunch of articles in. So it's like, okay, well, this is dated on the 3rd. And then on the 4th, these 15 or 5 or 10 articles came out. And well, they're almost identical to this. And I started noticing that unless it was a massively huge case, if it was just a small case, well, not a small case, for them to release a press release has to be a semi-big case, but there's tons of big cases. I would notice, I'm like, the only difference, like this is a consolidated version of this.
Yeah.
And this article is a larger version of this, but it's got a few quotes in it. So they made this guy made some calls, two calls, and this one, they're really just expanding on this, but probably just called U.S. attorney. Like they didn't do any research. It's all their marching orders are the press release issued by the U.S. government.
Just the talking points.
Right. And so to me, and maybe you have a larger one where they went and they did their own research, found another article from 2 months earlier, and maybe added a few of the details in from that one just by saying, like, this investigation was started 3 months ago when this happened. And then they include they're not doing anything. They're rewriting the basic articles, and sometimes they're not even changing anything. Because the truth is that if the press release is put out by the federal government, then it's fair game.
Yeah.
I can pull almost verbatim from it. I don't even have to rewrite it.
Are they being transparent about it at least?
No, they don't say anything. They just regurgitate what was already said in a slightly different way. That, hey, there was, 17 people were arrested in a massive, Ponzi scheme connected to Bitcoin. Like it's literally like they don't know anything that wasn't in this.